There's a silent force inside you that determines how far you go in life. It's not your talent, not your background. It's not even how much money you have. It's confidence, real, unshakable confidence. But here's the brutal truth. Most people fake it. They walk into rooms smiling, but inside they're shaking. They speak boldly, but go home and doubt every word they said. Why? Because they never learned how to build real, permanent confidence. The kind that doesn't depend on compliments, likes, followers, or praise. This message is for those tired of pretending, for the ones who know they were made for more, but feel stuck in self-doubt. Stay with this until the end, and you'll walk away with a mental blueprint to activate powerful, authentic confidence. Fast. Confidence is not something you wait for. It's not something that magically appears when the stars align, or when you've read enough books, earned enough praise, or feel perfectly prepared. The biggest myth people believe is that confidence is a feeling, that they have to feel brave, bold, or energized before they can act. But the truth is this: confidence is a decision to move forward even when your hands are shaking, your voice is trembling, and your mind is filled with doubt. Too many people sit around waiting for the right moment, waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel more qualified or worthy. But waiting never builds confidence. Action does. The people you admire, those who speak with authority, who walk into a room and own it, they weren't born with something you lack. They just learned that hesitation is the enemy of confidence. They learned to decide quickly, act boldly, and deal with the fear later. Confidence comes from choosing to lean into discomfort, not run from it. It comes from saying yes when everything inside you screams no. It's not about eliminating fear. It's about moving forward despite it. And here's the key. The more often you choose action in the face of fear, the more your brain learns that you're capable. Every time you act while afraid, you send a message to yourself. I can handle this. That message, repeated enough times, builds real confidence. You don't need to feel confident to make a move. You just need to decide. Decide to speak, even if your voice cracks. Decide to apply, even if you think you'll be rejected. Decide to start, even if you're not sure how it ends. Because here's what happens. Once you make that decision and take that first step, the emotion follows. You gain momentum, your nervous system calms down, your mind sharpens. You become more alert, more alive. Confidence rushes in after you move, not before. Think about the first time you did something that scared you. Maybe it was public speaking. Maybe it was standing up for yourself. Maybe it was launching something new. You didn't feel confident in the beginning. You felt exposed. You questioned yourself. But after doing it, even just once, you felt different. That shift didn't come because the fear vanished. It came because you proved to yourself that fear doesn't own you. This is the secret. Confident people don't have less fear. They just don't let it control their decisions. They feel the same hesitation, the same anxiety, but they've trained themselves to act quickly, to decide, not delay. Because delay feeds fear. The longer you wait, the louder your doubts become. The more you overthink, the less you move. Confidence doesn't come from thinking your way into courage. It comes from doing. So if you want to build unshakable confidence fast, stop waiting to feel it. Start choosing it. Start choosing to step forward when you want to shrink back. Choose to raise your hand when you want to disappear. Choose to act like the person you want to become, even before you feel like them. That's how transformation happens, not through feelings, but through decisions. Decide today that fear will not be the driver anymore. Decide to act. Decide to move. Decide to build the confidence that no one can take from you. Confidence is impossible without identity. You can't walk with authority if you don't know where you're going. You can't speak with conviction if you don't know what you believe. The root of true, unshakable confidence is clarity. Knowing exactly who you are, what you stand for, what you will allow, and what you will never tolerate. Without that clarity, the world will define you. It will assign you labels, hand you roles, and expect you to play parts that were never meant for you. Most people are not lacking confidence. They're lacking direction. They wake up every day shaped by other people's opinions, trying to fit into the expectations of family, society, or social media. They spend their energy reacting instead of living. They become mirrors, reflecting the noise around them instead of a light that shines from within. And when you live like that, you start to question everything. You doubt yourself before you even begin. You seek validation because you've lost the compass inside. You fear judgment because you've lost sight of your values. Knowing who you are is the foundation of confidence because it allows you to move through life with a sense of certainty. Not because you know the outcome, but because you know yourself. You know what matters to you. You know what you're willing to sacrifice for. You know what you're chasing and why it's worth the fight. And when you have that level of self-awareness, other people's opinions start to lose their grip on you. You stop bending for approval. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. This kind of inner clarity isn't given, it's built. It comes from solitude, reflection, and brutal honesty. It's developed through asking yourself the uncomfortable questions most people avoid. Who am I when no one is watching? What do I truly believe about myself? What lies have I accepted as truth? Who am I trying to impress and why? When you start answering those questions honestly, you begin peeling off layers that were never yours to carry in the first place. In a world that constantly tries to mold you, knowing who you are is rebellion. It's strength. It's freedom. When you walk into a room with identity, you no longer seek to fit in, you stand out. You're not afraid to be misunderstood because you're no longer trying to be everyone's version of acceptable. You don't shrink to make others comfortable. You don't perform for applause. You simply show up as yourself. And that becomes your power. Think about it. Every leader you respect, every icon you admire, every voice that shook the world, they all had one thing in common. They were certain about who they were. Their strength didn't come from everyone liking them. It came from them standing firm when others wavered. It came from them refusing to be silenced, shaped, or swayed by external noise. You don't find confidence by copying others. You find it by becoming more of who you already are, not who you were told to be. Confidence grows every time you choose authenticity over acceptance. It grows every time you express a truth, even if your voice shakes. It grows every time you say, "This is me," and mean it. If you don't define yourself, the world will do it for you, and it will always underestimate you. Don't give that power away. Stand up, stand firm, and most importantly, know who you are. Because once you do, no one can tell you who you're not. Confidence isn't built in a moment. It's not something you acquire once and never have to revisit. It's forged in repetition. In showing up over and over again, even when you're tired, even when you're scared, and especially when you feel like you're failing. Repetition is the secret weapon behind every confident person you've ever seen. Behind their polished delivery, calm presence, or powerful command is a trail of countless hours of practice, struggle, and quiet persistence. The reason most people never develop lasting confidence is because they give up too early. They try something once or twice, feel awkward or uncertain, and conclude that they're just not good at it. But confidence doesn't come from being good right away. It comes from being willing to be bad long enough to get better. It's in the doing, in the stumbling, in the getting up again where the real confidence begins to form. Each time you repeat something, no matter how small, your brain becomes more familiar with it. And familiarity breeds comfort. Comfort breeds courage. Courage breeds confidence. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall over and over again, but they don't quit. Why? Because repetition is natural to them. They don't associate falling with failure, only with learning. But as we grow older, we lose that perspective. We become embarrassed by mistakes. We fear looking foolish. And so we avoid the very repetition that could transform us. The truth is, confidence doesn't need talent at the beginning. It just needs the willingness to keep trying. Every skill you've ever admired in someone else was built through repetition. The powerful speaker? Repetition. The great musician? Repetition. The confident leader? Repetition. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's daily, disciplined, deliberate practice. Repetition turns the unknown into the familiar. It transforms fear into focus. It takes something that once felt impossible and makes it automatic. Repetition also does something deeper. It builds trust with yourself. Every time you show up again, even when it's uncomfortable, you're proving to yourself that you can rely on you. That kind of self-trust is rare and it's powerful. When you know deep down that you've put in the reps, that you've practiced, refined, and grown, you no longer need external validation. You don't need someone to tell you you're good enough. You know you are because you've done the work. Confidence, rooted in repetition, doesn't shake easily. It isn't dependent on the outcome of one performance, one job, one opportunity. If you succeed, great. If you fall short, no problem, because you've trained yourself to bounce back and keep going. The repetition has built a foundation that setbacks can't break. If you're struggling with confidence right now, ask yourself this: have I done the reps? Have I put in the time, the focus, the effort? Or am I expecting confidence to come from motivation alone? Motivation might get you started, but repetition is what carries you across the finish line. Start small if you have to. Speak in front of the mirror every day. Record your voice. Take that one uncomfortable step and take it again tomorrow. Let the awkwardness become normal. Let the fear turn into fuel. Show up again and again and again until your brain no longer sees it as a threat, but as a skill you own. Confidence is earned through effort, not entitlement. It's not gifted to the lucky, it's granted to the consistent. So if you want unshakable confidence, don't wait for it. Work for it. Repeat. Refine. Rise. Every single day. Real confidence doesn't come from how others see you. It comes from how you see yourself when no one's watching. One of the most powerful ways to build unshakable confidence is by keeping promises to yourself. It sounds simple, but it's life-changing. Every time you say you're going to do something, wake up early, go to the gym, finish that task, and you actually follow through, you strengthen your self-trust. And self-trust is the core of real confidence. Most people are great at keeping promises to others. They'll show up for their job, they'll deliver for their friends, they'll be there when someone else is counting on them. But when it comes to themselves, they make promises and break them like they don't matter. I'll start tomorrow. Just one more time. I'll get serious next week. It becomes a pattern, and the brain records every broken promise. Over time, you stop believing yourself, not consciously, but deep inside. You say you'll change, but some part of you doesn't buy it, because your track record shows inconsistency. Confidence crumbles when your actions don't align with your intentions. When your words don't match your habits, you start to feel fake. That gap between who you say you are and what you actually do becomes a breeding ground for insecurity. But when you close that gap, when your word to yourself becomes law, everything changes. You start to walk differently. You speak with quiet certainty, not because you're perfect, but because you trust yourself to follow through. Keeping promises to yourself doesn't mean being perfect. It means being honest and consistent. If you say you'll do something, make it small enough to actually do it, and then do it without compromise. It could be waking up 10 minutes earlier, drinking water first thing in the morning, turning off distractions when you said you would. These seem like tiny things, but they send a massive message to your subconscious. I do what I say. That's where confidence is born, in private, not on a stage. And when you break a promise, because it happens, own it. Don't make excuses. Don't lie to yourself. Reset and recommit. That act alone builds character. It proves that even when you fall, you have the discipline to get back up and keep your word. Confidence isn't about never failing. It's about knowing you have the strength to return to your standards no matter what. If you want to be confident, start treating your promises to yourself like they matter. Because they do. They shape your identity. They determine how you see yourself. And how you see yourself determines how far you go. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to prove anything. Just start keeping your word to yourself. Quietly, daily, relentlessly. That's how unshakable confidence is built. The conversation you have with yourself every day shapes your confidence far more than any external event. Your inner dialogue, the words and stories you tell yourself, can either build you up or tear you down. Managing this internal voice is one of the most crucial, yet overlooked secrets to building unshakable confidence fast. When your inner dialogue is positive, encouraging, and realistic, it creates a powerful foundation for self-belief. But when it's harsh, critical, or filled with doubt, it becomes a barrier that holds you back. Most people don't realize how much control they have over their inner narrative. Thoughts pop up automatically, but how you respond to them is a choice. When a negative thought arises, I'm not good enough, I'll never succeed, or I always mess up, your first impulse might be to accept it as truth. But that's exactly where confidence begins to unravel. Allowing negative self-talk to run unchecked is like watering weeds in a garden. Eventually, those weeds take over and choke out every positive possibility. The good news is that you can train your mind to shift this pattern. It starts with awareness, catching the negative or unhelpful thoughts as soon as they appear. Then, rather than letting them spiral, challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? What evidence do I have? Am I being fair to myself? Often you'll discover these thoughts are exaggerated or based on fear, not facts. Replacing these lies with balanced, compassionate truths rewires your brain to think differently over time. This doesn't mean forcing yourself into false positivity or ignoring real challenges. Confidence built on denial is fragile and short-lived. Instead, it means being honest but kind with yourself. It means recognizing mistakes as opportunities to learn, not as proof of failure. It means speaking to yourself like you would to someone you deeply care about, with encouragement, patience, and hope. Managing your inner dialogue also means choosing what you focus on. The mind can only hold one thought at a time, so deliberately turning your attention to your strengths, past wins, and possibilities creates momentum. Visualization and affirmations can help reinforce this positive focus, but above all, it requires daily practice. Just like any muscle, your mind's confidence can grow stronger with consistent training. When you master your inner dialogue, external opinions lose their power to shake you. You become your own biggest supporter, your own source of validation. This resilience becomes a shield against fear and doubt, enabling you to step forward with calm certainty, even in the face of challenges. Ultimately, confidence is an inside job. It's less about what happens around you and more about what happens inside you. Managing your inner dialogue isn't a one-time fix. It's a lifelong practice. But when you start today, you'll begin to notice your self-belief rising, your fears shrinking, and your courage growing. That is the key to building unshakable confidence fast. Confidence doesn't grow in just any environment. It grows in the right environment, one that nourishes your mindset, supports your progress, and protects your peace. Your environment is not just the space around you, it includes the people you associate with, the content you consume, the habits you repeat, and the energy you allow into your life. Most people overlook this, but mastering your environment is one of the fastest and most effective ways to strengthen your confidence. If you surround yourself with people who constantly criticize, belittle, or doubt you, it's only a matter of time before you begin to internalize those voices. You start second-guessing your own thoughts. You hesitate to speak up. You shrink to avoid judgment. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow, speak life into your goals, and hold you to a higher standard, you start to rise naturally. Confidence is contagious, so is insecurity. The question is, which one are you being exposed to every day? Your physical space matters too. Clutter, chaos, and distractions can make your mind feel scattered, but a clean, organized environment promotes clarity and focus. It reminds you that you're in control, not just of your space, but of your life. When your surroundings are aligned with your intentions, you think clearer, act faster, and move with purpose. Confidence thrives in structure, not in perfection, but in intentional order. Then there's your digital environment. The things you watch, listen to, and scroll through daily either feed your faith or fuel your fear. If your screen time is filled with comparison, negativity, and toxic narratives, your confidence will slowly erode. But if your input is filled with inspiration, truth, and growth, your inner world transforms. What you allow into your mind matters just as much as what you allow into your body. Master, your environment also means guarding your time. Say no to things that drain your energy. Set boundaries with people who bring chaos. Create routines that empower you, not enslave you. Make space for silence, reflection, and vision. Don't just live in your environment, design it. Shape it in a way that aligns with your goals, your values, and the person you're becoming. Confidence doesn't grow in darkness, chaos, or toxicity. It grows in light, clarity, and consistency. If you constantly feel stuck or doubtful, look around before you look inward. Sometimes it's not that you're lacking potential, it's that you're trying to thrive in an environment that's working against you. You don't have to wait for the perfect setup to start. Just begin by removing one toxic influence. Add one positive voice. Clean one corner of your space. Say no to one distraction. These small changes compound, and soon you'll find yourself operating in an environment that no longer limits you, but lifts you. Confidence isn't just a mindset, it's also a setting. So master the space you live in, and you'll watch your self-belief begin to grow effortlessly. The way you speak to yourself determines how you see yourself. Words are not just sounds, they're instructions to your brain. What you say repeatedly, you start to believe. What you believe, you begin to act on. And what you act on becomes your reality. That's why one of the most overlooked secrets to building unshakable confidence is learning to change your language. Both the words you say out loud and the ones you whisper silently in your mind. Most people don't realize how much damage their daily language does. They casually say things like, "I'm not good at this, I can't handle that, I always mess things up," or "that's just the way I am." And they think it's harmless. But every time they speak those words, they reinforce a limiting identity. Confidence can't grow in an environment of self-defeat. When your language keeps rehearsing failure, fear, and flaws, your mind starts treating those things as fact. It becomes a self-fulfilling cycle. You talk down to yourself, so you shrink. You shrink, so you feel less capable. And then you prove your own doubt right. But when you become intentional with your language, everything shifts. Changing the way you speak doesn't mean ignoring your weaknesses. It means reframing them with possibility. Instead of saying, "I'm terrible at this," say, "I'm still learning this." Instead of, "I can't," say, "I haven't figured it out yet." These small changes seem insignificant, but they rewire your brain to stay open, curious, and resilient. They keep you focused on growth instead of failure. Confident people aren't perfect. They're just intentional with how they talk to themselves. They catch the inner critic before it spirals. They choose words that speak strength over shame, clarity over confusion, power over panic. They know that their inner voice is either their greatest coach or their worst enemy, and they train it to work for them, not against them. Your language is your leadership. It tells your mind how to feel, how to behave, how to show up. If you constantly tell yourself you're overwhelmed, you'll feel overwhelmed. If you keep saying you're not ready, you'll hesitate forever. But if you begin to tell yourself, "I've got this, I'm learning, I've overcome worse," your brain starts preparing for success instead of fearing failure. You don't have to speak perfectly, you just have to speak with purpose. Start replacing negative generalizations with specific truths. Stop using labels that box you in. Begin to describe yourself and your life in terms that align with your goals, not your insecurities. Language is power, and when you learn to use it wisely, you begin to change not just your thoughts, but your entire belief system. Change your language, and you'll change your mind. Change your mind, and you'll change your life. Confidence begins with how you speak, so speak like someone who believes in their future. Even if you whisper at first, make sure your words push you forward, not pull you down. Confidence is not something you wake up with one day. It's something you build piece by piece through consistent action. One of the fastest and most sustainable ways to grow unshakable confidence is to stack small wins every single day. These small victories may seem insignificant on their own, but over time they create a powerful internal momentum that shifts how you see yourself and what you believe you're capable of. Many people think they need one massive breakthrough, a big win, a huge accomplishment, or a moment of public recognition to finally feel confident. But it doesn't work like that. True confidence isn't built from a single moment. It's built from the pattern of proving to yourself that you can follow through. Every time you keep a commitment, complete a task, or overcome a small challenge, you create evidence. That evidence builds trust. And trust builds belief. That's the foundation of real confidence. When you make your bed in the morning, you're not just tidying your space, you're reinforcing discipline. When you go to the gym, even for 20 minutes, you're telling yourself, "I take care of my body." When you write one paragraph, have one difficult conversation, or check off one important task, you're building the identity of someone who takes action. These are your wins, and they matter more than you think. Confidence grows every time you do what you said you'd do. It doesn't need to be flashy, it just needs to be consistent. The more often you follow through, even in small ways, the more your brain begins to associate you with success. You start to see yourself as someone who doesn't quit, someone who shows up, someone who finishes, and that changes how you carry yourself. Small wins are also the best way to break through overwhelm. When a goal feels too big, too far, or too complicated, it's easy to shut down. But if you zoom in and focus on the next small step, you take back control. That step gives you momentum. Momentum builds motivation, and motivation fuels confidence. It's not about doing everything at once, it's about doing something right now. Stacking small wins also protects you on the hard days. When motivation is low or things go wrong, your history of wins reminds you of your progress. You can look back and see the proof, the days you showed up anyway, the moments you pushed through, the habits you didn't break. That record gives you the strength to keep going because you know who you are. You don't need to wait for a big break. You just need to start building one brick at a time. A small win today, another tomorrow, and another the next day. That's how you create a foundation so solid that doubt, fear, and failure can't shake it. Stack your wins, protect your progress, and watch your confidence grow faster than you ever imagined. Confidence isn't given, it's earned through decisions, through repetition, through courage. And once you build it, no one can take it. Not failure, not rejection, not fear. Start today. One small action. One decision to believe in yourself. Speak up. Show up. Step up. And watch your confidence rise like a storm the world can't ignore.